The Dhaulagiri massif in Nepal extends 120 kilometers from the Kaligandaki River west to the Bheri. This massif is bounded on the north and southwest by tributaries of the Bheri River and on the southeast by Myagdi Khola. Dhaulagiri I is the seventh highest mountain in the world at 8,167 meters above sea level. It was first climbed on May 13, 1960 by a SwissNepali expedition. The mountain's name is Aaa currency, Aaa euro in Nepali. This comes from Sanskrit where Aaa means dazzling, white, beautiful and a currency, Aaa means mountain. Dhaulagiri I is also the highest point of the Gandaki River basin. Annapurna is only 34 kilometers east of Dhaulagiri I. The Kaligandaki River flows through its notable gorge, said to be the world's deepest. The town of Pokhara is south of the Annapurnas, an important regional center and a gateway for climbers and trekkers visiting both ranges as well as a tourist destination in its own right. Geography. Looking north from the plains of India, most 8,000-meter peaks are obscured by nearer mountains, but in clear weather Dhaulagiri I is conspicuous from northern Bihar and as far south as Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. In 1808 AD survey computations showed it to be the highest mountain yet surveyed. This lasted until 1838 when Kanchenjunga took its place, followed by Mount Everest in 1858. Dhaulagiri I's sudden rise from lower terrain is almost unequaled. It rises 7,000 m from the Kaligandaki River 30 kilometers to the southeast. The south and west faces rise precipitously over 4,000 m. The south face of Gajah in the same massif is also notably immense. Dhaulagiri I climbing history. Most descents have followed the northeast ridge route of the first ascent, but climbs have been made from most directions. As of 2007 there had been 358 successful ascents and 58 fatalities. Between 1950 and 2006, 2.88% of 2016 expedition members and staff going above base camp on Dhaulagiri I died. On all 8,000-meter peaks in Nepal the death rate was 1.63%, ranging from 0.65% on Cho'ol to 4.04% on Annapurna I and 3.05% on Manilu. Partial timeline 1950 Dhaulagiri I reconnoitered by a French expedition led by Maurice Herzog. They do not see a feasible route and switch to Annapurna, where they make the first ascent of an 8,000 m peak. 1953 1958 5 expeditions attempt the North Face, or Pear Buttress, route. 1959 Austrian expedition led by Fritz Moravec makes the first attempt on the northeast ridge. 1960 Swiss-Austrian expedition led by Max Iselin, successful ascent by Kurt Diemberger, P. Diener, E. Forer, A. Schelbert, Nyima Dorji Sherpa, Nawang Dorji Sherpa on May 13. First Himalayan climb supported by a fixed-wing aircraft, which eventually crashed in Hidden Valley north of the mountain during takeoff and was abandoned. 1969 Euro-American team led by Boyd Everett attempt southeast ridge. 7 team members, including Everett, are killed in an avalanche. 1970 second ascent, via the northeast ridge by a Japanese expedition led by Toku Fuota and Shoji Imanari. Tatsuji Kawada and Lakpa Tenzing Sherpa reached the summit. 1973 Euro-American team led by James Morrissey makes third ascent via the northeast ridge. Summit team, John Ruskley, Louis Reichart, David Peterson, Craig Anderson, Terry Beck, and Nawang Samdan Sherpa. 1975 Euro-Japanese team led by Takashi Amemiya attempts southwest ridge. 6 are killed in an avalanche. 1976 Italian expedition makes the fourth ascent. 1977 international team led by Reinhold Messner attempts the south face. 1978, spring, Amemiya returns with an expedition that puts 5 members on the summit via the southwest ridge. The first ascent not using the northeast ridge. 1 team member dies during the ascent. 1978, autumn Seiko Tanaka of Japan leads successful climb of the very difficult southeast ridge. 4 are killed during the ascent. French team attempts the southwest buttress, only reaches 7,200 m. 1980 a four-man team consisting of Polish climbers Wojciech Kurtyka, Ludwik Wyczekzinski, Frenchman Rena Copyright Guilini and Scotsman Alex McIntyre climbed the east face, topping out at 7,500 m on the northeast ridge. After a bivouac they descend back to base camp in a storm. 1 week later they climb the mountain via the northeast ridge, reaching the summit on May 18, 1981. A Yugoslav team reaches 7,950 m after putting up the first route on the true south face of the mountain, on the right side, connecting with the southeast ridge. They climb in alpine style but suffer 4 days of open bivouacs and 6 days without food before returning. Heian Bukamuro of Japan reaches the summit alone, via the normal route. 1982, December 13, 2 members of Japanese team led by Professor Junior Arima of the Academic Alpine Club of Hokkaido University reach the summit. By the world calendar, winter begins December 21, so this was not a winter but a very late autumn climb. However, the climb was done under a winter climbing permit, which the Nepali government issues for climbs beginning on or after December 1, 1984. 3 members of the Czechoslovakian expedition climbed the west face to the summit. J. Simon died during the descent. 1985 A Euro-Polish expedition including Jerzy Kukuczka climbs the normal route in winter, reaching the summit on January 21, 1986. A mostly Polish expedition puts up a second south face route, on the left side of the face connecting with the southwest ridge route. They go above 7,500 m but do not reach the summit. 1988 A Y Mwasav and K. Valiev, in cooperation with a Slovak, Z. Demjan, succeed in climbing the southwest buttress. This 3,000-meter ascent, with difficult technical climbing at 6,800 a 7,300 m, was acknowledged as the year's best achievement at the UIAA Expedition Commission Conference. 1990 A Dhaulagiri becomes the first mountain higher than 8,000 m to be climbed by a Lithuanian. Danius Makorskas disappears on the descent. 1993 A Russian-British team puts up the direct north face route. 1998 A French climber Chantal Maduit and Sherpa Angshering Dai when an avalanche strikes their tent on the northeast ridge. On May 1 the Greek climber Nikolaos Papandreou was killed falling in a gorge. On October 2, the Greek babist Sopras reaches the summit but does not return. The bodies of the Greek climbers were not found. 1999 A On October 24, British climber Jeanette Harrison dies in an avalanche on Dhaulagiri. Days later, Slovenian Tomas Huma climbs the south face solo but does not reach the summit. His ascent ended at 7,300 m due to a 300 m band of rotten rock. Huma traverses to the dangerous southeast ridge, re-enters the face briefly and exits c. 8,000 m for a descent on the northeast ridge. Dhaulagiri's south face remains unclimbed, remaining one of the greatest remaining challenges in alpinism. Other peaks in the Dhaulagiri Himalaya, only peaks above 7,200 m with more than 500 m of topographic prominence are ranked. The status of Chiren Himmel's 3 peaks is unclear and sources differ on their heights. The coordinates, heights and prominence values above are derived from the FIN map. The first descent data is from NEAT, but it is unclear if the first ascent of Chiren Himmel East was actually an ascent of the highest of the 3 peaks, as NEAT lists Chiren Himmel Central as a 7,320 m subpeak of Chiren Himmel East. Most of the named 7,000-meter peaks are on a ridge extending WNW, separated from Dhaulagiri I by 5,355 m French pass at 28 degree 46.55 inches N, 83 degree 31.54 E. In order they are Dhaulagiri 2, 3, B, 4, Junction Peak, Chiren's East, Central and West, Putha Hunshulai and Hunshulai Payton. False Junction Peak, Dhaulagiri 6 and Gajar on a ridge extending south from Junction Peak. The British Alpine Club's Himalayan Index lists 37 more peaks over 6,000 m. 6,182 m Pota Himmel stands north of the main ridge between Chiren and Putha Hunshulai. Pota has been informally renamed Peak Holly after Elizabeth Holly, a notable expedition chronicler and Kathmandu-based reporter. Hunchulai Patan at the western end nearest the Bheri River is locally called Sisnormakata Himal. It was an iconic landmark to insurgents based in Rukham and Rolpi districts during the 1996–2006 Nepal Civil War. Climbing history 1954 JOM Roberts and Ang Nyama Sherpa climbed Patha Hunchulai, first major summit descent in the range. 1955 DHII attempted by JOM Roberts and others. 1959 pre-monsoon and post-monsoon reconnaissances of DHII by Japanese expeditions. Hangda 6556M in Mikhat section attempted. 1962 Chiren attempt from north by Japanese Nihon University expedition. Climbed Hangda, Tonggu, P6265 during approach acclimation through Hidden Valley. Also Kantokal north of Patha Hunchuli. Chiren and DHVI attempt from south by JOM Roberts, thinking he was on DHIV due to inaccurate maps. Climbed a lower peak near Gaja, naming it Ustang after the stream draining the cirque they climbed in 1963. DHII attempt by Austrian Expedition, reaching 7,000 m. DHI attempt, 1965. Japanese expedition to DHI delayed 2 months by heavy snow in approach passes. Lost 2 porters to avalanche, then another porter was injured in a fall and needed evacuation. This left too little food to continue. JOM Roberts leads British RAF expedition to DHVI, still believing it was DHIV. Defeated by late monsoon, then early winter storms creating excessive avalanche risk. 1969, DHIV attempt by Austrian Alpine Club. 5 Austrians and 1 Nepali disappear, may have summited. Gaja climbed by Japanese expedition. First authorized ascents of Tukuk 6920 m and Tukuk West 6800 m. 1970, Japan's Kansai Mountaineering Club unsuccessful on DHIV in April but climbed DHVI and False Junction Peak. Korean expedition claims they summited Chiren East on April 29. Questioned by same-year Japanese expedition, see next. Japanese expedition climbs Chiren Central and Chiren West on October 24, 1971, first ascent of DHII on May 18 by German expedition. DHIV attempt, DHV attempted by pre- and post-monsoon Japanese expeditions. Both ended by fatal accidents. 1972 DHIV attempted twice by Japanese expeditions. First attempt abandoned when a climber fell ill and died at 6200 m. Second expedition climbed via crest from west, found route too long at high elevation. Climbed DHVI and Junction Peak, 1973, first ascent of DHI on October 20 by German expedition. DHIV attempted by Austrians who reached 7250 m on end face, then by British who quit after 2 deaths. 1974, DHIV attempt by British RAF expedition abandoned after 3 Sherpas killed by falling ice. In Mikhat section, ascents of Parbat Rincon 6200 m, Parbat Talperi 6248 m, West Himparkal 6248 m, East Himparkal 6227 m, Tashikang 36157 m, 1975. DHIV climbed May 9 by Eskawazu and EU Sudla, who died on descent, bringing death toll on DHIV to 14. Another Japanese expedition in October puts 10 on summit without loss of life. DHV climbed by M. Morioka and Pembutsring Sherpa on Japanese expedition. 1979 Euro-Japanese traverse DHII, 3 and V along 7150 m plus crest. Expedition led by a woman. 2008 first ascent of Peak Holly. Solo climb by Frana section Wa Damilano following expedition climb of Patha Hunchulai. 2013 first ascent of Hunchulai Patan. Nepalese expedition led by Man Bajakatri. See also, Dhaulagiri. References, Colebrook, H.T., Thompson, Thomas, ed., On the Height of the Himalaya Mountains, Annals of Philosophy, Volume 11, pages 47–52, retrieved April 21, 2015, Diemberger, Kurt. The Kurt Diemberger Omnibus. Seattle, Washington, USA, The Mountaineers. ISBN 0-89886-606-5. Monia Williams, Monia, 1899. A Sanskrit-English Dictionary. Oxford University Press. Retrieved April 20, 2011. Neat, Jill. High Asia, An Illustrated History of the 7,000-Meter Peaks. Mountaineers Books. ISBN 0-89886-238-8. Waller, Derek John. The Pundits, British Exploration of Tibet and Central Asia. Lexington, Kentucky, USA, University Press of Kentucky. ISBN 0-8131-9100-9. Retrieved January 4, 2014. Isserman, Morris. Weaver, Stuart. Fallen Giants, A History of Himalayan Mountaineering from the Age of Empire to the Age of Extremes. Yale University Press. ISBN 978-0300164206. Retrieved October 19, 2014. Notes. Sources: American Alpine Journal, 1974, 1976, 1977, 1979, 1986, 1987, 1994, 1999, 2000. Iselin, Max, The Ascent of Dhaulagiri, OUP, 1961, Omori, Koichiro. Over the Himalaya. Cloudcap The Mountaineers. Himalayan Index. External links: Dhaulagiri on Himalaya-info.org, Dhaulagiri on Piqua, Dhaulagiri on SummitPost.org, Himalayan Index.